Hello and welcome back to this week's history video brought to you by the Clinton Public Library. We will be looking back on events that were recorded in the June 8th edition of the Daily Clintonian in 1981, a spread that is shockingly relevant to today. The first article we will dive into is a report from Washington titled Reagan Firm on Taxes. Washington, UPI. Both sides agree that the tax cut battle will be tougher than the budget fight, but the White House said today President Reagan plans, quote, no major changes in his proposal to attract more votes in Congress. Reports that the administration is ready to make concessions to business leaders are, quote, a little out of proportion, said Acting Press Secretary Larry Speakes. Quote, any changes are mainly for fine-tuning, he said. Business leaders are upset because the administration scaled back depreciation write-offs in its latest proposal. Treasury Secretary Donald Reagan met with the business leaders on Tax Cut Friday and plans another briefing Tuesday. We wouldn't have gotten in a fight if we didn't think we could win it, Speakes said today. We know it's going to be tough. We're in better shape than we were with the budget cut at this stage. We're willing to go all out. I wouldn't look for any major changes than you've seen, Speakes said. He added that if there are any concessions to be made, they will have to come from the Democratic opponents. Meanwhile, Chairman Robert Dole R. Can announced today that the Senate Finance Committee will hold a session Wednesday morning, quote, to explain and discuss the administration's tax reduction plan. House Speaker Thomas Tip O'Neill predicted Sunday that Democrats will be able to defeat Reagan's tax plan. White House Chief of Staff James Baker agreed the fight will be tougher than the budget battle that Reagan won earlier this year, but he asserted, we will prevail. The next two articles are startlingly relevant to today, the first of which is titled, Russia's Ultimatum Scuttles Polish Calm. Warsaw, Poland, UPI. In a sudden deterioration of Poland's political calm, the Soviet Union reportedly sent Warsaw an ultimatum to halt liberalization. Poland's deputy prime minister warned that threatened strikes endanger the nation, and the Communist Party called an urgent meeting. The party's Central Committee meeting was set for Tuesday, 2 days before a deadline for strikes in 4 northwestern provinces, over what Solidarity claims is government inaction in punishing the culprits in the police beating of Solidarity members in the city of Bydgoszcz last March. In Bydgoszcz Sunday, Deputy Prime Minister who is opening talks with Solidarity today, warned the area's Communist Party Central Committee in a tough speech that Poland's rulers Moscow and other Warsaw Part nations were rapidly running out of patience over the renewed strife in Poland and Poland's states at stake. Limits of common sense agreements by Polish authorities are exhausted. The limit of patience of our allies is also being used up, he said. In the nearest future, Poland can become the hotbed of tension which might reach out beyond its borders. Does this have to happen? I think not. I still believe that there is a chance to fulfill the policy of agreement, but it is diminishing. Those who want to weaken our power, let them remember that they are taking the responsibility for whatever happens to our state. Rakowski's reference to tension reaching out beyond Poland's borders appeared to reinforce the anonymous telex received in Western news agencies, saving that the Soviet Union Sunday might send an ultimatum to the ruling Polish Politburo to ensure the main lines of communications to the armies of neighboring states were opened. There was no further information on the exact meaning of the telex, but a persistent but uninformed rumor in Warsaw said Soviet President Leonid Brezhnev had sent a letter to the Polish authorities expressing lack of confidence and offering fraternal aid in helping restore order to the country. The last article that we will cover is titled Israeli Bomb Iraqi Reactor. Jerusalem, UPI. Israeli Air Force planes destroyed the Iraqi atomic reactor near the Baghdad Sunday because it was aimed at making atomic bombs, Israel announced today. Our pilots fulfilled their mission completely. A special Israeli announcement said the reactor was completely destroyed. The announcement said all the Israeli planes returned safely to their base. It said the Iraqi reactor could produce atomic bombs of the same type that were dropped on Hiroshima in World War II. The Israeli announcement said the reactor would have been operational in a short time, creating a danger to the existence of the nation of Israel. The Israelis said that they destroyed the facility before it became operational because had they waited, quote, Its splitting would have caused a huge wave of deadly radioactivity over the city of Baghdad, and many of Baghdad's innocent civilians would have been injured, the announcement said. In Washington, acting White House Press Secretary Larry Speakes said President Reagan was informed of the bombing earlier and would issue a statement on the action. The United States described the Israel attack on Iraqi nuclear installation as a very serious development and offered U.S. aid to Iraq to deal with the spread of radiation. In a prepared statement, spokesman Dean Fisher said the United States had been informed Sunday of the attack on the French-built Osiris reactor, but that it had been given no prior information about the raid. The U.S. statement said, "It is clearly a very serious development and a source of utmost concern." In Cairo, Egypt quickly condemned the Israeli air attack on the French-built Osiris reactor as a, quote, irresponsible and unjustifiable crime. Foreign Minister Kamal Hassan Ali also said the attack marked, quote, a sharp escalation of the explosive situation in the Middle East. Quote, for a long time, the Israeli announcement said, we have been following with deep concern the establishment of the Osiris atomic reactor. Reliable sources have no doubt, and we have learned that it was the reactor that is intended, despite the camouflage, to create atomic bombs. The target of these bombs was Israel, the announcement said. Over the past several years, Israel has protested strenuously to France and Italy against their help to Iraq in building the reactor. On April 5, 1979, still unidentified saboteurs, widely reported abroad to be Israeli, destroyed the core of an advanced research reactor about to be shipped from Seine-sur-Mer, near Toulon, France, to Baghdad. Last September 30th, Iranian planes bombed the reactor facilities, although not the reactor itself. French and Italian scientists were evacuated from the facility after the bombing. In January, Israeli news reports said the scientists had resumed work on the reactor, and one report said, quote, it is now highly likely that the Iraqi nuclear reactor would become operational, according to the original schedule and almost unaffected by the Iraqi-Iranian war. The announcement said Iraqi President Saddam Hussein had announced his country's intentions outright. It said that when the Iranians hit the reactor last autumn in the early days of the Iraqi-Iranian conflict, Hussein indicated the attempt had been in vain because the reactor was established for use against Israel. The Israeli announcement said the atomic bombs the reactor could produce, either with enriched uranium or plutonium, were not of the same type that was dropped on by the United States on Hiroshima. Thus was created a danger to the existence of the nation of Israel, the announcement said, adding that highly reliable sources gave Israel 2 dates for the completion of the reactor and its activation: the beginning of July 1981 or the beginning of September 1981. In a short time, the Iraqi reactor would have been ready and operating, the announcement said. Under such conditions, no government in Israel could have taken the decision to bomb the reactor when it was already in operation. Its splitting would have caused a huge wave of deadly radioactivity over the city of Baghdad, and many of Baghdad's innocent citizens would have been injured, the announcement said. Thank you for watching this week's history video.